Hey, it's Willie from TwoGuysGarage at SEMA with Adam from XForce Exhaust. Now, a lot of people understand the premise behind what they're doing and the technology behind it. So remember as hot rodders, right? My dad had these things called cutouts where you could go from headers to a muffler, right? But in between there was a little thing that you could go, if it's time to race, you go in there, whether it's hot and you had your gloves or ratchet and you pull the bolts off and you uncap the header without removing the exhaust. Now imagine that with today's emissions, right? Today's cars, vehicles, and applications. Well, that's what XForce owns, and that's what they have killed it on over the last number of years. So, Adam, thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you,
really
Willie.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tell everybody what XForce has been doing, what they're here for,
Yes.
and this really cool exhaust technology you guys have.
I appreciate it. Well, XForce has been around actually 16 years out of Australia. So manufacturing R&Ds all out of that country. And now
Australia, as we know, huge on cars, right?
Oh,
I mean,
huge.
Australia is
Huge.
nuts. You think we have it bad here? Australia.
That's why you see a lot of Aussies now coming out to SEMA. This is actually the one trip of the year that they can't miss.
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
So, but they've been doing things right there for many, many years. And XForce really got into the game going into a lot of the domestic for them. So a lot of the Utes and a lot of the big, the V8s and so forth. And they've actually supported a lot of the local race tracks there as well. And the import scene back in the early 2000s was very big for them.
Sure.
So 5 years, 2005, they actually said, well, you know what, we want to get into the cutout game, but we have to be different.
Yeah.
So the president of XForce in Australia, Joe Fang, he actually said, well, you know what, I want to actually come up with something creative. So let's be different. Now let's take the cutout kind of style and the technology and put that inside the muffler. So it's all concealed, all packed in. Wow. So they actually came out with the first one 2005, 2006 and started launching a universal muffler so people can, put, whether it's a domestic vehicle there or a hot rod or whatever the case is. Then they started actually integrating the systems into catback systems, all direct fit systems.
Yeah.
And basically what we do is take that technology and put it with the 12-volt source with the plug-in for the cigarette lighter. You get the wiring harness and everything, and a key fob remote that communicates to the control module. So you can just tap on the button or hold it down, and immediately the valve either opens or closes. But you can also put it in different percentages and halfway if you want to.
So all of a sudden, if you understand what he's talking about, right? The cutout is built into the exhaust. So you have probably what looks like to the naked eye an OE muffler in some applications, right? But it has a cutout. So those gases, those exhaust gases, are getting a straight without any sort of resistance, right? A straight passage. So the tones, right, and the tunability factor goes up, and so does the performance.
Yes.
Right? So if you have that all incorporated inside a muffler, you see where that performance gain is going to be made, and you see where to the naked eye it looks like a bone stock application. All right, and you see, imagine some of the scenarios. So you're thinking, all right, where would I use this? Well, for guys like myself who want that big throaty exhaust, or we're out on the town hot rod and we're doing some burnouts. Well, we hit our button, right? It opens up. You get this throaty sound. You get a rip and burnout. Well, the cops behind you, guess what? You could close it right on the fly without ever getting out of your car. My dad used to be like, well, all right, let me uncap the headers, right, and then we'll go to the street race. Not the case anymore. You can do it all from the convenience of inside your car.
Exactly, and we had to think about safety too for engine performance, that we weren't hurting the engine performance with backflow, with the exhaust going back upstream. So inside that muffler, it's actually quite unique. So we actually have a bypass section that goes through when the valve is closed, and it goes through a set of baffles there to quiet it down, so it sounds like completely stock. On some applications, especially forced induction vehicles, it may be even quieter than stock. But we have a great amount of flow actually still going through, so we're not damaging things with the motor as well.
Wow, what a cool little step. Now understand, a lot of people are starting to do this now because there's a tunability factor there, right?
Exactly.
So the more you get back pressure, it can help scavenge, right? It's called the Bernoulli's effect, scavenge the cylinders, and you can really start to dial in the efficiency of the motor right here, because not only does XForce make it open and close, but they have different variables as to how far you want it opened and or closed, right?
Exactly. Now to take it a step further, Willie, what we're actually doing this year at SEMA is we've now gone past the control module with the push button control to actually, going with the technology and having the app. And we actually have a new system which is called the Smart Box, and it's Bluetooth enabled, so it hooks up to your tablet or iPhone or Android device, and you're actually able to control different parameters. So basically we're making ease of function, so you don't have to actually fish for that key fob remote. You can actually do 4 different presets based on 3 different parameters: RPM, speed, and throttle position. So
wow.
we've had a lot of tuners and engineers come to our booth in the SEMA years before and say, how can I crack this system? How can I tune it even more? You know, to get more back pressure, or you know,
Sure.
to give me better horsepower numbers with throttle, or you know, with torque numbers, and they want to play with that. So we actually took that advice from 2 years ago, started going and developed with it, and came out with the Smart Box. So you're allowed to do those different parameters, or if you want to do the original press and do it manually, you can now set it within 1%. So
if I'm hearing you right, you can, for example, say if you have a throttle position sensor on it, right? As soon as you mat into it or lean into the throttle, you can imagine that valving opening, right? Less restrictions, up the performance based on just the throttle position sensor, courtesy of XForce muffler. That's brilliant.
We have to think ahead, and that actually hooks up to the OBD2 port. We're already getting questions from a lot of hot rodders that don't have the OBD2, so we're going to work on the next step after SEMA this year. And the other cool factor, this is the game changer about the system, is it has a system called the Geo mode. Okay, so we have the matrix mode, we have a manual mode, and then Geo mode is actually a little button you press, and what it allows you to do is configure anywhere in the world you are with that system set up with the XForce Varix muffler to whatever vehicle you want to mount that with, and you pinpoint your area where you want it to actually be either quiet or loud. So let's say you have going back in your complex, where your living quarters or whatnot, and you want to be quiet because it's early in the morning, you go to work, or you're going out late night and party.
Hey,
you want to wake up the neighbors.
Hate me, man. When I'm rolling out the subdivision, I'll do an early morning radio show, man. I'm rolling out like at 4:30 in the morning. They hate when I drive my hot rods.
Yep, rumbling everything down the street. So what you could do is let's say right at your residence, you have the GPS coordinates there on your smartphone, and you actually pinpoint it there, and you say, okay, well, maybe I want it for a 2-block radius or 3-block or by miles. So you open up the radius, pinpoint it, save it, and you say, okay, I want it to be closed within this radius. Wow. So that way, when you turn on the car, you're not having to fidget with all the buttons and electronics. You turn it on, and it's going to be stock inside your garage. You pull it out, and as soon as you get out of that zone, then it just opens up to whatever setting you want. You can have it at 25% or 55 or 100% wide open. You're good, and you're cruising. And you're safe.
How cool
no angry neighbors.
Is that? Can you imagine an exhaust that's tunable via a GPS, right? Just on location alone. So how cool would that be? You let the wife have the hot rod for a day, she rolls out the subdivision, everything's quiet, she gets out on the main road, and all of a sudden she's a terror.
Yeah, surprise.
It's like, honey, quiet the car down. And it's all Bluetooth capable. Imagine this will blow your mind. You can now download an app, right, and control it on your phone.
Yes, absolutely.
It's amazing, man. Where do people get more info and details about you guys?
They actually visit our website, which is xforceusa.com. You can also check out our YouTube channel as well. Just type in XForce, and you'll be able to find all the different vehicles and sound clips and all the new technology we're bringing in for 2017 as
That's
well.
amazing, man. It's XForce, really great stuff. They've been doing it in Australia, which is kind of the mecca for all things car and nuts, right? And it's great to have them over here, to have this in their backyard, especially here at SEMA. Adam, man, thank you so much.
Willie, it was a pleasure, man.
Yeah,
thank you
man,
so much.
Great stuff. XForce Exhaust. You heard him here on the website. Make sure you guys check that out.